Hey everybody, hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I know Laurie and I did, going back home, seeing everybody. It was so nice to see everybody. We had a huge Thanksgiving dinner at the house. And if any of you guys watched this, thanks so much for coming. We had a ball. Got a special request from Carol. Carol, this one's for you. She asked me, or she made the comment, she said, ever since you guys left, we're starving to death, Gable. You gotta do something about it. And she was missing some of our famous salsa that we make. So I thought I would make Carol a how to make my world famous Gable salsa video. So hang in there, I'll get some things ready, show you what you need to make it, and we'll whip up a batch of Gable's world famous salsa. All right, so here's the ingredients that you're gonna need. You're gonna need some whole peeled tomatoes. I don't get the diced tomatoes or anything like that. I get the whole peeled tomatoes. For some reason, they just taste better in the salsa. And the way I've got things sized out, I do it for this food processor. Everything will fit, this amount that I have will fit in this food processor just perfect and make me about, I guess it's probably half gallon, maybe a little bit more than a half gallon. I don't know, whatever will fit in there. I don't know if that's a half gallon or not. But anyway, this is what I use. So one of these big cans of the tomatoes, and then one of the regular size cans of the tomatoes. And then I get 1 can of tomato sauce. Now this is just the local brand here, I think at Publix or Winn-Dixie. I've tried, Hunt's is fine, whatever you like to use, but I've tried different brands and it doesn't really seem to make that big of a difference in the taste of the salsa. So I just get whatever's cheapest and roll with it, or whatever they've got. Of course, you'll need some fresh cilantro. I can't stress this enough. A lot of people say they don't like cilantro in salsa. I'm not a huge cilantro fan either, but I will say that cilantro in this particular salsa that I make, it really helps. So you could put a little less or a little more than I show when I do it. That's up to you. You're gonna need 1 lime. This is a small lime, kind of old too, I think, but I think it'll work just fine. And then 1 medium-sized onion, and we're only gonna use, generally I use about half of that. And I'll just kind of eyeball it when I'm doing it and see if that's the right amount. You're gonna need some Goya adobo. This is Adobo Seasoning. You can get it at just about any grocery store. This stuff is awesome on everything anyway. If you haven't had this on baked potatoes, try that out. It's awesome. You're gonna need some garlic powder, not garlic salt. Don't use garlic salt. And you're gonna need some black pepper. Oh man, I almost forgot one of the most important ingredients. So let me see if I can get that. Okay, I'm back. I almost forgot one of the most important ingredients. I like to put kosher salt in my, this is coarse kosher salt. You can use sea salt, that works pretty well too, but coarse kosher salt is what I like in this. Can't believe I almost left that out. That would have been bad. So these are the things you need. Now, I use 2 things to mix my salsa up, the magic bullet and the food processor, and I'll show you how we're going to use those things. So the first thing that I like to do, well, let me mention one thing. I almost forgot this. This salsa is like a restaurant style salsa. It's not some specialty salsa with lots of weird stuff in it. It's just the plain Jane red salsa you get at most Mexican restaurants, which that's the kind I prefer. I mean, I'll actually go to a Mexican restaurant and not go in there and eat if I see some weird, chunky, odd looking salsa that just looks very strange. I'm all about Mexican food. The salsa is 90% of the meal for me, so I'm kind of funny like that. So this is just a standard Mexican style, I guess restaurant Mexican style, probably American Mexican style restaurant style salsa. So I hope you guys like that. I'm gonna go ahead and get some things prepared. Now there's a couple of things I do before I get started. I always like to go ahead and chop up my onion and my cilantro and have it ready to go, and go ahead and cut my lime before I start everything else, because once I get going here, I want everything to come together fairly quickly, and I don't want to leave everything sitting in the food processor to wait until I get done with that. So I'm going to go ahead and prep that stuff up now. You guys can follow along, see how I do this. All right, on my cilantro, I'm gonna go ahead and cut my lemon in half here. I mean my lime in half here. And man, I did exactly the opposite thing that I wanted to show you guys. See guys how I cut that lime? Don't do what I just did. Cut it this way, across like that. I just did that long ways and messed up. Now I'm gonna get a bunch of junk in there, but either way, I may score it a couple of times to do that. But I'm only gonna use half that lime. It'll still work, it'll just be messier. I'm gonna use about half of this onion. Probably that small half, I think. And then I'm gonna pull me off some of these ends of this cilantro. One thing I'll tell you, when you're making this recipe, make absolutely certain that you have fresh cilantro. If it's more than a day or two old, don't use it. You're wasting your time. The cilantro, I don't know what it is about cilantro that just loses its flavor. Gosh, like in, I don't know, 4 days in the fridge. So if you don't have any good fresh cilantro, I would recommend taking the time, go to the store, get you some cilantro that's fresh, and use it. Don't use stale cilantro. All right, so I just chopped this up. Chopping this stuff a bunch, I know, but chop it up really, really good. You don't need big giant chunks of cilantro, I guess, unless you just really love cilantro. Most of the people that eat my salsa they're not real big fans of the cilantro, so I get it as fine as I can. That looks pretty good right there. That looks about right. I like that. All right. Now, on your onion, make sure that you cut your onion really, really tiny little diced up pieces. And here is why. One of the keys to this salsa and making it right is that you don't actually chop up your onion in the food processor. You're going to chop up all this stuff separate. And then the only thing that we're going to blend in the food processor is going to be the tomatoes, and then we're going to put the onion and the cilantro in after. That is absolutely key. I've done it otherwise, and I'm telling you, it just changes the whole flavor of the salsa. Don't really know why, so don't blend the onion up in the food processor. So I'm just going to slice little bitty tiny, small as I can get, little onion pieces here. And I bet you Jim's probably going to watch this video, and if he does, Jim's a chef, sushi chef. He's awesome. He's going to make fun of the way I cut things. Jim, you can correct me later. We'll come to your house and do a cooking video. You can show me how to look more like a professional, but this is the way I cut things. All right, these big chunks of onion, I'm just going to kind of put those aside. That's about how much onion I use in my bit of salsa. If you like a little bit more onion, a little chunkier, you might want to put a little bit more, that's fine. But this is about what I use right there. So I don't know, that's a good handful of onion. One other thing that I don't do is I don't measure anything. I just kind of look at things and go, that's about the portion that I need to make for this size that I'm doing. Let me grab a towel. I'm already making a mess. Let me go ahead and show you how to make up the base of this salsa. This is probably the most important ingredient right here that we're going to put in the magic bullet. And I use this little small cup on the magic bullet. If you have the bigger ones, it'll work, but I can size everything really good off of this. So this works really good for me. So we're gonna need 1 can of this La Constina, I guess that's how you say it. And this brand is the only brand that I like to use. I like the flavor of it. This just really works really well. I guess some other stuff will work. And one thing I want to point out right here, that says sliced nachos. I've got the ones before that don't say nacho slices. They just, I don't know, it's got like carrots and stuff in it. I can't stand carrots and it just changes the flavor. Try to get the one that says nachos pickled jalapeno peppers. That's the one I like. This size works perfect. So I'm going to add this whole can into here. Perfect. I'm going to squeeze my lime into there. My half a lime. Oh, and I didn't bring my towel. Let me go get my towel again. Darn it. No, maybe I can reach it. The camera won't leave me. Okay. Got my towel. All right. So I've got my jalapeno peppers in there. Now I'm going to go first with my garlic salt. Now I'm hoping this overhead camera that I've got up here will give you a close enough shot to show you how much I'm putting in here. But I would venture to say I probably got a teaspoon of garlic salt. I just cover the top like that. That looks about right. That's what I'm going with. I'm going to guess that's probably about a teaspoon of garlic. About the same with the black pepper. Just cover everything up. The top, probably about a teaspoon of black pepper. I would assume about like that. And then not quite as much of the adobo, maybe half that amount. And it looks like I'm putting more, but actually everything else was so fine that adobo is kind of chunkier, so it's not quite as much. I wouldn't say exactly half as much, but I don't know. So I don't know if you can see that or not. I'm hoping, let me hold it up this camera. I don't know if you can see what that looks like, but that's about how much I do in there. And then last but not least, my salt. This is a brand new thing of kosher salt, so let me get that open. And on the kosher salt, I'll put probably about a teaspoon of salt, I would say. That's about right. I tend to like my salsa a little bit more salty, so I'm going to put a little bit more. You can do that to taste. But that's your ingredients. So we've got our peppers, our lime, adobo, garlic powder, kosher salt, and that's it. All right. Screw that on tight, and then you want to blend this up in your blender, in your magic bullet, and I mean puree this stuff. Just make a foam out of it. You want all the chunks to completely disappear. Okay, so my magic bullet's done. I guess I probably let that blend for about 45 seconds is what I'm guessing. That's about the right amount of time. So I don't know if you can see that in the overhead camera up there on the one up front. I'm running 3 cameras here. I don't even know which way to look. But it's just a complete puree, no chunks left, no nothing, everything blended up really good. I'm gonna set that aside for a moment. All right, get my tomatoes opened up, and here's where the magic starts to happen. Let the lid go down in there. Don't normally do that. All right, so my whole tomatoes, and then 1 can of tomato sauce. Same brand, just tomato sauce. All right, so I'm gonna put everything in food processor. You can see this fills my food processor up almost perfectly to the top. Yeah, it's a little bit messy. You'll get some stuff running out of the food processor. All right, so you want to dump your I'm going to call this my base, my sauce. I don't know what you call that. But I'm going to dump that in. And that's all you want to put in right now. Don't put your onions in or your cilantro in or anything else. Just leave that for last. All right, so I'm just going to pulse this a little bit. And what I'm watching for is just for the tomatoes to start to break up. I like to leave a few chunks, but I do get my salsa a little thinner than I think most people would. I don't like too many big chunks. Plus, if you put it in a pouring pitcher, if you have the big chunks, you can't get it to come out. That's starting to look about right. I think that'll do it. All right. Now it's already got a lot of flavor in it because of the jalapeno sauce that we put in it. Everything is pretty much ready to go. But last thing you want to do, add your cilantro and your onions right at the end, like that. And then just pulse it 2 quick times. I mean, really fast. You just want to mix these in. I have even just stirred them in before. Something about not blending them into there changes the flavor of it completely. So watch how fast I pulse this. I mean, it's just basically just turned it over in there and that's it. One more for good luck. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. That's all there is to it. That sauce is ready to go. I'll pour this in a half-gallon pitcher, and it is ready to go. There's Gable's homemade, world-famous salsa. Carol, hope you enjoyed it. I wish I was home to make you some of it, but here's the next best thing. Make it at home. You guys enjoy it there. Hope you enjoyed the video. Catch you guys next time.